Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research of 2021. My name is Anissa Apriliani, and it is within my pleasure to serve you as the Master of Ceremony for today. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the Honorable ICMR Consortium representative, the representative from Faculty of Humanities and Social Science of Taksin University, Mrs. Lanchukorn Sri Women PhD, the representative from Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara, Professor Dr. Yanhar, the representative from School of Distance Education at University Science Malaysia, Professor Dr. Zoraini Wati Abbas, the Dean of School of Distance Education, the representative from Universitas Syah Kuala, and the representative from Universitas Hasanuddin. Our utmost welcome is also sent upon the Honorable Rector of Hasanuddin University, Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu, MA, all keynote and invited speakers of the ICMR 2021, the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science of Hasanuddin University, Professor Dr. Armin MSE, all faculty members of Faculty of Social and Political Science of Hasanuddin University, Chairman of ICMR 2021, Mr. Muhammad Nasir Badu, PhD, and all distinguished presenters and participants for joining our international conference today. Before we start our opening ceremony, let me remind us about several things that all participants shall follow. Firstly, participants shall keep their camera open. And secondly, participants shall ensure that their microphone is muted throughout the conference, except when they have been recognized to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, the International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research, or ICMR, is the 9th installment of its kind. International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research is an annual event which has been jointly organized by the School of Distance Education, University Science Malaysia from Pulau Pinang, Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara from Medan, Indonesia, Universitas Syah Kuala from Banda Aceh, Indonesia, and Universitas Hasanuddin from Makassar, Indonesia. Starting in 2019, Taksin University from Thailand has also become a member of the ICMR family. The main objective of ICMR is to provide a platform for scholars to share their research results in various fields. By doing so, we aim to improve the culture of research and collaboration among scholars and researchers, both regionally and internationally. International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research will be a platform for academics to share their findings and provide insights to explore current discoveries and technologies. Sharing of research findings can be channeled into discoveries for improving the quality of life. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the date of ICMR of 2020 has been pushed back to 2021. Finally, this year, Hasanuddin University serves the honor to host the 9th ICMR. Ladies and gentlemen, as our warm welcome to you to Indonesia virtually, let us all begin our opening ceremony today by singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. All participants are expected to sit upright or stand. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On the next agenda, we would also like to welcome you to our beloved hometown Makassar, Indonesia. Hereby, we cordially present to you the official opening video of ICMR 2021, hosted by Hasanuddin University. Please enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now all officially begin to embark our journey in ICMR of 2021. Our agenda for today will be started with the opening session. We will hear welcoming remarks delivered by the chairman of ICMR 2021, the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science of Hasanuddin University, and Director of Hasanuddin University. Our second agenda is the keynote speech, which will be moderated by Mrs. Nufidar of SOS MA. In this session, we will hear speeches by our keynote and invited speakers from Nanyang Technological University at Singapore, University Sains Malaysia, and Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara from Indonesia. Finally, after the main session, we will continue the agenda with the parallel session in the respective virtual rooms. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let us all hear the first welcoming remarks. I invite Mr. Muhammad Nasir Badu, M.Hum, PhD, as the chairman of ICMR 2021. To Mr. Nasir Badu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Honorable Rector Hasanuddin University, Professor Dr. Dwiya Aristina Pulubuhu, Honorable Rector University of Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara, Professor Yanhar, Honorable the Dean of School of Distance Education, University of Science Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Zaraini Wati Abbas, Honorable Representative of Taksin University, Lanchukon Sriman, PhD, Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Hasanuddin, Professor Dr. Armin, Honorable Representative from Unsia, Universitas Kuala in Banda Aceh, distinguished keynote speakers, invite speaker, parallel session speakers, and all of our participants, and then representative of consortium members of ICMR. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining our opening ceremony of the 9th ICMR and in Makassar, Indonesia. Welcome to Hasanuddin University by virtual event. Herewith, I also I would like to deeply apologize because of canceling of the 9th ICMR time from October 2020 to January 2021. Because we, our commuters, had to face a few problems. One of them, of course, by COVID-19. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, ICMR is the annual event since 2012, driven by University Science Malaysia, Universitas Syah Kuala in Banda Aceh, and University Islam Sumatera Utara. Hasanuddin University joined in 2015, and the last member is Taksin University in Thailand, who joined in 2019. For 2021 ICMR, I would like to report a few things. The first one is there are more than 200 abstracts received by the committee, but only 130 abstracts continue to be full paper and ready for presentation today and tomorrow. The second one, participants come from the Southeast Asian and Australia, mostly from Indonesia, particularly from Hasanuddin University. And the last one, the full paper selected will be published in Index Corpus Proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, the 9th ICMR, supported by the USN, UNSIA, YC, UNHAS, as a host, and Taksin University. We would like to thank you for all of the consortium members for you supporting us, as well as for our rector, Professor Dr. Aristina Pulubuhu, who always support such event to make UNHAS is part of world-class university. Our Dean, Professor Dr. Armin, and his Vice Dean, and then the committee members, particularly the committee members, because of you, we work hard for make the real disease conference, even though we have a lot of problems of that. And then all of the people who already support our ICMR, particularly our presenter today. We apologize, of course, if there is something make you uncomfortable during this event. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nasir Badu. Now I invite Mr. Professor Dr. Armin MSI as the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science at Hasanuddin University. To Professor Dr. Armin, the floor is yours.
Ya. Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, the Excellency Rector of Hasanuddin University, Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu, MA, the Honorable all the invited speakers who come from Nanyang Technological University Singapore, University Science Malaysia, Universitas Syah Kuala Indonesia, Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara Indonesia, Tan Thiao University Vietnam, and Taksin University Thailand. The respectable all of delegation and participation who presents together today. First of all, I would praise gratitude to the Almighty God for blessing where allowed us so to come together to attend the Hasanuddin International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research, or ICMR 2021, with the conference theme, Implementing Knowledge and Research for Humanity and Environment, that held online and will start today until tomorrow. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude to the Rector of Hasanuddin University for pleased to attend and later will open our international conference today. First, I would like to thank the ICMR consortium we entrusted this event to Hasanuddin University, especially to our Faculty of Social and Political Science. Although this event has undergone a postponement, which was supposed to be held in October 2020, but due to the current pandemic condition, this conference has been postponed until this January. Well, now we attend it together today. However, I still believe this event will still provide great benefit for all participants and all us who participate in important event. I am very happy and proud to this event due to many scholars from various countries and regions that willing to join with us to share many important knowledge and actual information and finding from various multidisciplinary research that will present in this 2 days of conference. Even though it is carried out online, but I deeply believe that this event will become a valuable event for all of us. Last but not least, I would like to welcome all participants and delegates from all universities who join today with us in the International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research 2021 were organized by the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Hasanuddin University. I hope we can we can enjoy who session well and get best benefits of it. Have a good conference and enjoy the knowledge transfer process through this activity. May God always bless us. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Armin. We surely hope that the advancement which this conference brings will be massive to the development of multidisciplinary research. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I cordially invite upon Mrs. Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu, MA, as Director of Hasanuddin University, to give her welcoming remarks in ICMR 2021. To the Honorable Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu, the floor is yours.
Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Good morning and have a good time and stay healthy to all of us. First, I would like to greet to our honorable guests and participants on this international conference. Honorable of all.
It's 9 hours.
Excuse me?
You may
Dear
carry
honorable,
on.
okay? Is it okay?
It's okay.
Moderator? It's okay?
Yep, we can hear you clearly, Professor. You may now carry on.
Okay, thank you. Honorable representative from various university, as a member and part of the consortium of ICMR, I noted we have Professor Leonard Sebastian from NTU Singapore, Dr. Faridah Jafar from USM Malaysia, and Professor Hairul Munadi from Unsia Indonesia, and also Dr. Tuan Tong Kruchon from Taksin University, Thailand, and Dr. Hayen Du Hayen from Tan Trao University, Vietnam, and also Dr. Yan Har from UISU, Indonesia, and many others representative from various university, either from Indonesia or from abroad. And also part of the honorable representative also as distinguished participants and keynote speakers from this international conference. And I would like to greet also my colleagues, distinguished vice rector, deans, professors, and especially goes to the dean of faculty of social and political science at Hasanuddin University, and all the vice dean and all the lecturers, and also all lecturer, all dean from other faculties from other universities, and of course to distinguished invited speakers, participants, and attendants. At the beginning, let us exchange again our gratitude to the Almighty of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the blessing that allowing us to gather in this very strategic virtual conference, ICMR 2021, with bringing the very strategic topic as well. And also salawat dan salam to our Prophet Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ladies and gentlemen, at the first to highly appreciate to the ICMR 2021, and of course to the consortium of ICMR itself, that for such a long time can provide this international conference as a medium to all scientists from all the countries to gather and to share their research result or the ideas, and also as a link all the scientists from various countries. And of course, highly appreciate to organizing committee, to ICMR 2021, Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Politik of Universitas Hasanuddin. Congratulations that I noticed that this international conference attended by many participants and attendants and invited speakers. Congratulations. And no doubt highly appreciate to all keynote speakers and invited speaker for your willingness to share your ideas in this international conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now facing a same problem, COVID-19 pandemic. It is very tragically affecting people's health, life, and livelihoods. It also had a noticeable, have a, at the same time, negative and positive impact for our environment in just a few months. The positive impact, let's look at the first. In many places, yes, there is a negative impact, reduce the economic activity, reduce the economic income, but at the same time also we reduce our transportation mobility, we reduce our mobility activity that broke by the measure reduce the spreading of the pandemic. At the same time, in short term, we can make cleaner air, reduce the carbon, reduce the emission, and of course, less noise. So we can say the pandemic at the same time bringing on both sides, the negative impact and the positive impact. But we are no doubt that natural and this diverse environment have profound impact on the health and mental well-being. We know that the original source of the clean air, water, and food support our healthy human being, then support the healthy of human societies. But nature is both also as the origin of the infectious and vector-borne disease, and of course also at the same time the source of medicines, including many antibiotics, of course, for sure, the source of the vaccine that now the good news for us currently. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we are now in the global world responding the pandemic, the COVID-19 by rearranging the life to entering what we say as a new normal. We can praise this as the moment when we adapting the new habits, new activity. Hence, I mean, we reordering of better trip toward this earth by changing our habit, changing our activity and others. So, what is the role of scientists? To me, to us, scientists need also to evaluate by adapting the new habits as scientist activity. We have to evaluate whether the development of science and technology that we are producing have had a good impact on life for the earth and for the people. We have to reset the paradigm in managing the earth, of course, in a wise way. We need to protect nature and biodiversity, and we need to maintain and enhance a variety of their direct and indirect benefit to the health and well-being. That means there is no other way that we have to connect each other from various disciplines to develop that science that in a wise way. So this international conference that leading with the paradigm of multidisciplinary research is a very very useful and functioning one to develop this idea. The role of scientists and also academicians, of course, the researchers are very urgent, not only for developing the science, develop the technology and innovation, but giving a very comprehensive information to the society. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to highlight that we also critically and doing thing that evaluate ourselves, our profession, do have our ideas and science have make how the socio-economic relation that bringing by our science and our ideas. Has we all developed justice? Has social justice been built by our scientists, our science, or our ideas? We need to evaluate such kind of thing. To the all people, to the society, we have to giving the to create their awareness, to evaluate how they treat the natural resources to meet their own needs. And also we have to develop, create the awareness to the students. All of things in one question. Have we been wise to protect sustainable natural resources in our activity as a scientist? Ladies and gentlemen, university play an important role, of course, in creating innovation, develop the or increase the economic growth, and making a prototype of innovation. And as a social science, we also have a very strategic role in formulate the strategic policy to the government. Yes, we have to strengthen the role of our university through research and innovation. But right now, by adapting the new habit, we are clearly in the same goals, that is to achieve the benefit of social welfare and solving the nation problem by creating people keep health and safe, secure. These goals also have to be engaged by the objective of the students' activity in the university. So we have to develop then the student awareness to engage in such kind of objective and to engage in any humanitarian activities more and more. Right now, the university have to do better in the university social responsibility by put in mind as priority for humanitarian activities. Ladies and gentlemen, we also require our responsibility to advise our government that making the policies, the development policies is a more wise way. We have to do synergistically. So by that, the development process might avoid the social turbulence and at the end will increase the social justice. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this international conference will have a very fruitful discussion. It is my honor to already deliver my short speech. And at the end, I will again to congratulate and thank you for the ICMR consortium, and thank you for the Faculty of Social and Political Science that possible this conference is held successfully, and of course to the organizing committee. Thank you very much. And by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, International Conference on Multidisciplinary Research, or ICMR 2021, shall be started. Please stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu. It is indeed a great honor for us at the Faculty of Social and Political Science to host the ICMR 2021 despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us all proceed to our next agenda. We will now hear the speaker session. In this session, we will hear keynote speeches from our respectable keynote and invited speakers. First up on the line, we have Professor Dr. Leonard Sebastian from Nanyang Technological University at Singapore. Next on the line, we have Dr. Farida Jafar from University Science Malaysia, who is a lecturer at the School of Distance Education of USM. And last but not the least, we have Dr. Haji Yanharji MAP from Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara. Dr. Yanhar is an associate professor of public administration focusing on public policy. He is also director of University of Islam Sumatera Utara, Medan, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, this speaker session will be moderated by Mrs. Nufida Raf, SSMA from Department of Sociology at Hasanuddin University. I hereby give the floor upon Mrs. Nufida Raf as our moderator to open the speaker session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to the MC today. Hopefully all of us will enjoy our conference today. The Honorable Rector University of Hasanuddin, Rector University of Islam Sumatera Utara, Dean Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, and representative of supported university for this conference. This is a nice day today in Makassar, raining season, but today is good good weather. It is I am pleased to be a moderator for the first season. We have three speakers that will deliver their presentation, research on the current issue that related to social and political problems that exist in our region, Asian. Please allow me to remind you all of participants to unmute the mic, but please show your video as a proof that you are enthusiastic to follow this conference. Okay, we start our conference. First of all, may I briefly introduce to you our guest speaker that have been introduced by the MC. For the may I check all the speaker. Mr. Sebastian, are you with us? Okay, thank you. The second, Miss Farida Jafar, Dr. Farida Jafar. Okay, thank you. And the last is Pak Yanhar. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Welcome to the conference and welcome to the first session in this conference. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Leonard Sebastian from Yanang Technological University, Singapore, to deliver the first presentation on the current issue, COVID-19, how Singapore overcome the pandemic. This is, I think, his paper is interesting because all of us has been affected by COVID, and all countries in the world try to overcome this problem. For Mr. Sebastian, I invite you to deliver your presentation. The floor is yours. Yes, please. Oh, tolong di-unmute dulu. Panitia, tolong di-unmute suaranya Pak Leon. Oke.
Oke, sekarang bisa.
Ya, terima kasih. Silahkan.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Ibu Nuvida dan selamat pagi semuanya. Semoga kita tetap dalam keadaan yang sehat-sehat walafiat. Izinkan saya untuk menyampaikan rasa hormat kepada Ibu Profesor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu selaku Rektor Universitas Hasanuddin, tamu undangan, panitia penyelenggara dan mahasiswa-mahasiswi yang hadir sebagai pemakalah. Ucapan terima kasih saya aturkan kepada Pak Nasir Badu yang membantu dalam memfasilitasi sehingga saya bisa hadir di konferensi ini. Tidak lupa juga saya sertakan rasa iba saya kepada Sulawesi Barat yang beberapa hari lalu dilanda musibah gempa. Tanpa menghabiskan waktu lebih, izinkan saya untuk menyampaikan materi saya. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to speak to all of you today. Delighted that I can have this opportunity. I will talk on COVID-19. Singapore is still in the midst of attempting to overcome it. It's a struggle that all of us are going through, and I hope that what I'm able to share is useful and beneficial as we want to learn from each other and try to figure out how we can cooperate with one another, because it is not just a local problem, it is a regional problem, and it is also a global problem. So it is useful for all of us to cooperate, work together, and learn from each other's practices so that we can help each other, support each other, and work together to find a solution to this problem. I, for one, would want so desperately to return to Indonesia to visit all my friends. So I'm hoping that travel will be a possibility sometime in the near future. My presentation is in 3 parts. What I will do is, this is an important topic, so let me share a summary in Bahasa Indonesia, followed by a short presentation in English over the issues that have arisen in relation to Singapore's management of COVID-19. So my presentation is actually in 3 parts. I have circulated a PowerPoint, some PowerPoint slides, and that can be used as a reference point for our participants. Okey, ininya 3 bahagian di presentasi saya. Yang pertama, Singapura dan manajemen krisis kesihatan publik. Singapura mengalami 2 kali gelombang infeksi COVID-19. Pertama, seorang warga negara Tiongkok dari Hubei ditemukan positif mengidap COVID-19. Kedua, transmisi lokal di antara masyarakat pada bulan Februari 2020. Singapura terbantu dengan protokol pelacakan kontak dan isolasi yang pernah digunakan saat krisis SARS. Langkah parsial lockdown berhasil mengurangi angka transmisi antar masyarakat dan dilonggarkan secara bertahap sejak Juli hingga September 2020. Di saat yang sama, gelombang transmisi asimptomatik COVID-19 muncul di dormitory pekerja asing yang padat pada awal bulan April 2020. Sebagian besar dari mereka yang terinfeksi dengan gejala ringan ditempatkan di fasilitas lokasi masyarakat. Tes massal dan perluasan fasilitas isolasi masyarakat berhasil menekan peneluran virus selama 3 bulan. Setelah kuncitara dilonggarkan pada 1 Juni 2020, Singapura memulai proses pembukaan kembali secara bertahap untuk kegiatan ekonomi, sekolah dan kegiatan sosial lainnya. Ketiga, pemerintah percaya diri untuk mengimplementasikan aplikasi dan token Trace Together secara nasional untuk memfasilitasi pelacakan kontak di masyarakat. Singapura memasuki phase ketiga pada tanggal 28 Disember 2020 yang berarti dimulainya kembali kegiatan ekonomi, ibadah dan penunjukan langsung. Singapura juga telah memulai vaksinasi COVID-19. Perdana Menteri Lee Hsien Loong telah menerima dosis pertama vaksin Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 pada tanggal 8 Januari 2021. Vaksinasi untuk lansia dan kelompok rentan akan dimulai pada bulan Februari 2021. Bahagian kedua, langkah-langkah yang diambil oleh pemerintah Singapura untuk melindungi perekonomian dan pekerjaan. Ada berapa poin di sini. Oleh kerana disrupsi ekonomi yang luar biasa akibat COVID-19, pemerintah Singapura meluncurkan 4 paket fiskal: Unity, Resilience, Solidarity, dan Fortitude untuk membantu kelompok bisnes dan individu yang mencapai $100 miliar Singapura. Skema dukungan pekerjaan atau Job Support Scheme yang bertujuan untuk mendukung penyedia kerja dalam mempertahankan tenaga kerja lokal di tengah ketidakjelasan ekonomi telah disediakan sejak April 2020 hingga Maret 2021. Retribusi tenaga kerja asing juga telah digratiskan selama 2 bulan, 100% di bulan Juni dan 50% di bulan Juli. Paket SG United, Job and Skills juga dicetuskan untuk memperluas kesempatan kerja, magang dan pelatihan keterampilan guna mendukung masyarakat Singapura sebanyak kurang lebih 100,000 pencari kerja yang terkena dampak ekonomi dari COVID-19. Langkah-langkah pengetatan untuk mengurangi persoalan rekrutmen yang bias terhadap pekerja asing juga telah diambil untuk melindungi warga negara Singapura dan mengurangi ketergantungan terhadap pekerja asing yang murah. Kedepannya, Singapura akan kembali membuka jalur penerbangan dengan negara yang sudah bisa mengkontrol penyebaran virus. Bahagian ketiga, respons komunitas Muslim di Singapura terhadap COVID-19. Sebagai tanggungjawab kolektif dalam menjaga kesihatan publik, Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura atau MUIS menerbitkan 8 nasihat atau irsyad sebagai langkah penanganan COVID-19. Irsyad pertama diterbitkan oleh Kantor Mufti pada tanggal 30 Januari 2020 sebagai pedoman agama. Irsyad bertujuan untuk menyelesaikan berbagai isu yang berkait dengan praktik-praktik dan pandangan Islam terkait perkembangan mutakhir. Prinsip-prinsip umum dari irsyad adalah bahawa masyarakat Muslim di Singapura berbagi tanggungjawab dalam mengurangi penularan virus dan memastikan agar situasi tetap terkendali sebagai wujud ajaran Islam kepada umat Muslim tentang betapa pentingnya kepentingan dan kesejahteraan masyarakat. Irsyad tersebut mengatur umat Muslim agar wajib menerapkan pemeliharaan dasar dalam menjaga higienitas masing-masing, memonitor kesihatan pribadi secara berkala dan menerapkan interaksi dan jarak sosial. Di akhir masa kunci tara atau circuit breaker pada tanggal 2 Juni 2020, masjid-masjid kembali dibuka namun dengan pembatasan waktu dan ruang. Hal ini bertujuan untuk memfasilitasi masyarakat, terutama para pekerja di sektor esensial yang berpindah dari satu tempat ke tempat yang lain seperti supir, taksi dan pribadi serta para pengantar jasa makanan. Secara terarah, MUIS telah berhasil menyediakan ruang untuk solat Jumaat. Meski demikian, MUIS menganjurkan agar para umat dapat mematuhi protokol keselamatan yang berlaku, termasuk untuk beribadah di rumah jika sakit, mengambil wudu sebelum masuk ke masjid, membawa alat solat pribadi, menggunakan masker, larangan untuk berbicara dan berkontak fisik dengan umat di dalam masjid, menjaga jarak dan menggunakan aplikasi Trace Together saat masuk ataupun keluar dari masjid. Selain persoalan ibadah, MUIS juga menyediakan dukungan finansial kepada umat Muslim yang terdampak. MUIS mengalokasikan dana sebesar 1,6 juta dolar Singapura yang disebut sebagai COVID-19 MUIS Support Fund CMSF guna meringankan beban finansial 4,000 rumah tangga dengan bantuan satu kali sebanyak 400 dolar Singapura per rumah tangga. Pada tanggal 28 Disember 2020, MUIS menyediakan dana khusus COVID-19 sebesar 500,000 dolar Singapura bagi 6 madrasah. Dana ini akan disalurkan untuk kebutuhan program mahasiswa-mahasiswi madrasah di mana terdapat 3,500 siswa-siswi yang akan memperoleh manfaat tersebut. Pada tanggal 13 Disember 2020, MUIS mempublikasikan irsyad terbaru ihwal diizinkannya masyarakat Muslim untuk menerima vaksin COVID-19. Ya, itunya presentasi atau summary saya di dalam bahasa Indonesia. Saya harap that ini sangat beneficial lah pada semua. So I wanted to give a presentation because it's such an important topic to all of us. I wanted also to share a little bit in bahasa Indonesia. I hope I was very clear. I hope it was clear, and I hope it wasn't too confusing. I don't have too many opportunities in Singapore to speak Bahasa Indonesia. So I hope I can just share a little bit so that we can also reach as wide a group of participants as possible. Of course, this is an international conference, so let me just say a few words in English. Mohon maaf, Ibu Nuvita. I hope you don't mind me speaking so long in Bahasa Indonesia. Now, the situation in Singapore is of course challenging. We all understand that we face significant challenges going forward. We don't believe that we are out of the woods yet. From the very beginning, when we first reported in January 23rd January 2020, the first case, which was a Chinese national from Hubei that tested positive for COVID-19. Local transmissions began as early as February, and however, it's a bit confusing because none of these cases were actually linked to China. This has principally been a local transmission situation. What has helped actually has been the contact tracing and isolation protocols, that we have utilized since the period when Singapore had to deal with the SARS crisis. So perhaps, when with hindsight, we look back and we think we learned a lot from SARS, So much of the protocols that were there at the very beginning were part and parcel of the SARS protocols that were implemented. Initially, I think what was important to do was to try to break the cycle, and we didn't do a lockdown. So it was basically a partial lockdown because we didn't want to have a situation where economic activity was constrained significantly. So the partial lockdown was actually called a circuit breaker, and that lasted for roughly a period of just over a month. And in this context, we were expected to all work from home, and we could only leave home to purchase basic necessities. What has happened also, it has been a larger wave of asymptomatic transmissions. And this unfortunately affected a large number of foreign workers who were working in dormitories under very cramped living conditions. Most of these foreign workers who were infected were in fact mild cases. So it was possible to deal with these issues in community isolation facilities. Measures were then taken to reduce overcrowding in dormitories, and then we embarked upon mass testing and an expansion of community isolation facilities to try to bring the virus under control in a 3-month period.
Pardon? Pardon
Sorry.
me. Mr. Leonard, you have run a time 2 minutes more. Do you need to
Sure,
say?
no problem. Let me conclude
Okay, please.
my thoughts. And essentially, I think what we are trying to do now is to try to enter as normal a stage as possible. And with the Trace Together app that Singaporeans are now required to utilize, contact tracing is going to be made a lot less complicated. Also, the vaccinations are going to help significantly. But then again, the health element is only one part of the picture. The other part of the picture is also the community health, particularly help for businesses and also the type of job and skills package that will be necessary, to basically help people coming into the workforce find jobs first and foremost in this difficult environment, but more importantly also to support businesses that have been affected quite significantly. In this context, right, there are a number of things that need to be done that have been put in place, particularly to deal with the hardest hit area of all, which is tourism. I think hopefully we will see the possibility of Singapore setting up air travel bubbles and corridors with more countries that have been able to bring the virus under control. And of course, last but not least, I highlighted in my presentation the Singapore Muslim community response towards COVID-19, which I think might be interesting for our friends in Indonesia to sort of look at and analyze in terms of how the Muslim community in Singapore has worked with the government in order to do their part in bringing down the problems related to the infection. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak at today's international conference. I feel very sad that I'm not able to be there in Makassar. I hope before long we can all meet together in Makassar. Saya harap kita dapat berjumpa langsung di kesempatan yang akan datang. Dengan begitu saya juga bisa makan sup konro dan
ikan bakar
dan es pisang hijau, buroncong, dan es cendol malino. Ini semua menarik hati saya lah semoga Indonesia menjadi lebih baik dan kita semua pun menjadi lebih sehat, lebih sejahtera dan lebih bahagia. Terima kasih banyak.
Amin. Thank you very much for Mr. Sebastian, your Indonesian. Your bahasa is so good gitu. Senang mendengar.
Terima kasih banyak, Bu.
Sebagaimana kami juga biasanya kesempatan seperti ini adalah kesempatan yang besar how to practice our English as well you try to speak in bahasa. Your presentation is interesting. I do interest in measurement, how to cope the pandemic in Singapore. From your point of view, we see that the community involvement to solve this problem is so important. Thank you for Mr. Bapak Sebastian, Pak Sebastian. Next, we have the presenter from University of Malaysia, Science Malaysia, Puan Farida Jafar. We can call her as Puan. She is a program chairperson, political science section, School of Distance Education, University of Science Malaysia. Puan Farida, you have I think 15 minutes is enough for presentation. Time is yours. Okay, silakan.
Assalamualaikum. Okay, thank you to our chairman, our chairperson today. First, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all the participants. First of all, before I start, of course, I would like to say big thank you to the organizer for giving me an opportunity to give keynote speech for the ICMR 2021. Okay. Second, congratulations to the UNHAS and the committee of course, still able to organize this conference as we are all suffered due to pandemic COVID-19. Without further ado, I proceed this speech with title Exploring the Premiership and Foreign Policy Decision in Malaysia, 1957 to present. I'm Dr. Farida Jaafar, Program Chairperson, Political Science Section, School of Distance Education, University Science Malaysia, and also the alumni of UNHAS for my undergraduate study.
I think we have already met Farida.
Yeah, I think so.
Ah.
Okay,
Thanks for having you here.
Okay, in exploring the fundamentals of Malaysia foreign policies, this study covered three main aspects. First, outline the definition of foreign policy. Second, to determine the factors that influence foreign policy decisions. Third, to review the development of Malaysia foreign policy 1957 up to present. Basically, in political science field, foreign policy is regarded as part of international relations and generally interpreted as purposeful action in fulfilling national interests coming from political level decisions based on individual or group consideration. Frankel remarked that foreign policy contains two important elements. First, decisions, and second, action. Okay. For more than 40 years, publication on foreign policy had emerged from defining the concept of foreign policy to the debates on democracy, foreign policy analysis, and to what extent foreign policy dictates international image. Okay, there are several factors determine Malaysia foreign policy. First, individuals, meaning that the personality of the leader of a country, and second, role of position, meaning that the behavior of officer involved in processing foreign policy. Third, government, which is a structure that either limit or expand foreign policy alternative for society. Non-governmental aspects such as the people who conditions affect or contribute to the feeling of country's foreign policy. And last but not least, system external. The external, how the external environment of a country give influence Malaysia foreign policy, determine Malaysia foreign policy. There are numerous factors that influence decision-making in Malaysia foreign policy. Most often, previous literature argued that the pattern of foreign policy structure correspond closely to the idiosyncratic factors of top-level policymakers. Idiosyncratic factors refers to the politicians' belief, personality traits, psychological disposition, and individual preference. Okay. After Malaysia gained independence in 1957, the foreign policy is divided into several phases based on the prime minister tenure. In exploring Malaysia foreign policy regarding premiership decision, we start with Tunku Abdul Rahman. Okay, in Tunku Abdul Rahman period 1957 up to 1970, he prioritized diplomatic ties with neighboring countries. He is pro-West and anti-communist policy. We have a conflict with neighboring countries like Indonesia, Philippines resulted from the Federation of Malaysia. in Malaysia, foreign policy, Tunku becoming more assertive to maintain his pro-Western principle in searching international support and financial aids from the colonial power. And we also have a conflict with Singapore at that time. Policy during Tunku's era was, it seems that reactive rather than proactive. That is for Tunku era. And for Tunku Abdul Razak, for Tun Abdul Razak, 1970 to 1976, Malaysia foreign policy, a period of transition from pro-Western to neutral, moderate and pragmatic. Okay, he also established a diplomatic relationship with all countries except with certain countries without making ideology as is Tunku's time. Okay, and Tun Razak also extended neutral policy at the regional level through association Southeast Asian nations, ASEAN, and declaration of zone of peace, freedom and neutrality or ZOPFAN. Okay, ZOPFAN declaration promotes international peace and security through law and regional cooperation. His decision on neutrality was motivated by the political turmoil in the regional and international arena. Okay, so the country at this time had taken great steps to build regional resilience and enable ASEAN countries to become less dependent on external powers. Okay, that is for Tun Abdul Razak. And another remarkable Tun Abdul Razak contribution was the enhanced bilateral cooperation with Singapore. At that time, there was no conflict arise between the two neighboring countries. Okay, Tun Hussein On, 1976 to 1982. It seems that no drastic changes in Malaysia foreign policy and he also continued neutrality policy. And he is more focused on ASEAN and strengthen existing diplomatic ties with neighboring countries, especially Singapore, Thailand and Indonesia. Okay, and leaders from these countries praised Tun Hussein On for his endeavor in making ASEAN functioning as successful vessel, particularly in reinforcing good relationship among Southeast Asian countries. And 1981 to 2003, Tun Mahathir has been the longest serving Prime Minister in Malaysia, which to be exact 22 years. During his time, Malaysia foreign policy has been considered as independent, dynamic and pragmatic. It looks like Tun Mahathir is truly the one who brings the best in Malaysia, and his visionary leadership has had progressed Malaysia to be internationally recognized by relatively impressive economic growth. Being labeled as a liberal Muslim, Tun Mahathir was evident to be vocal about suppression of Muslim countries. Besides, Tun Mahathir, he was one of the important figures in OIC. Okay, it seems that in Malaysian foreign policy under Tun Mahathir's period, Malaysia had benefited tremendously from the legacy of Tun Mahathir in fostering external relations with more nations while championing the rights, interests, and aspirations of third world countries. His strong personality and uncompromising stance had impacted the Malaysia's foreign policy orientation. Contrary to the previous Prime Minister, Tun Mahathir opened up path for more diplomatic ties with the Northeast Asia countries such as Japan and South Korea. Okay, in brief, among foreign policy of external movement implemented during Tun Mahathir's era by British last, look its policy anti-British, anti-Commonwealth, defender of third world countries, championing regional engagement, growing relations with Muslim world and expansion of international cooperation from the Northeast Asia to Central Asia. That is Tun Mahathir. And then we continue with Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, 2003 to 2009. Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, his personality was, of course, was totally different from Tun Mahathir. His soft character and accommodating style of leadership had been his strength and weakness all at once. Okay. Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi managed to mark his distinctive contribution to foreign policy by successfully introduce the concept of moderate Islam, or known as Islam Hadari, with the mission toward excellence, glory, and distinction. Okay, this concept was recognized by the OIC member state in 2005. Thus remark his excellence in articulating foreign policy based on Islamic principles. Okay. During the challenges Tun Abdullah facing within his political party, United Malay National Organization, and the emerging opposition coalition, Islam Hadari had attracted non-Muslim electorate and received positive response from the US. Okay. Within the economic spectrum, Tun Abdullah launched halal industry with position Malaysia to be the leading halal hub in wide range of competencies from accreditation to supply chain industry. It seems that Tun Abdullah successfully accentuated the image of Malaysia as progressive and moderate Islamic country to the international arena. Okay, we move to Datuk Sri Najib Razak, 2009 to 2018. During his tenure, Datuk Sri Najib has intensified foreign policies to cater with the changing world order. Okay, world order. Among his prominent foreign policies are related to restore bilateral relations with Singapore and China. His approach in developing foreign policy was deemed as forward-looking and pragmatic. Okay, to emphasize the linkage between domestic and foreign policy, Datuk Sri Najib announced the concept of One Malaysia, People First Performance Now. This concept has been well embodied with the main vision of Malaysian foreign policy without neglecting the challenging domestic agendas. Unexpectedly, in 2018, for the first time over 60 years, the Malaysian government was formed by a new political coalition. Okay, and then 2018 to 2020, the new coalition was named as Coalition of Hope or Pakatan Harapan. Tun Mahathir was announced as the Prime Minister for the second time at the age of 92. Okay, 92. Okay, after 22 months, Tun Mahathir had abruptly resigned but appointed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong as interim Prime Minister until the formation of new government. Throughout his administration, several foreign policies were taken place, such as the condemnation of Myanmar's treatment towards the Rohingyas Committee at the 73rd United Nations Assembly, as well as reinforcing bilateral relation with Vietnam and Singapore state and China. Okay, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Okay, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, 2020 to present until recently in 2020, 2021, Malaysia had witnesses the most remarkable shift of political turmoil after Tun Mahathir had resigned and became the interim prime minister. A week after agonizing moment for the fellow Malaysians, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin was sworn as the 8th Prime Minister based on majority support from the Member of Parliament. In total contrast with the previous premiership, Tan Sri Muhyiddin had to deal with completely different challenge. Okay, despite the non-acceptance among public and political leaders, Tan Sri Muhyiddin had to deal with a much bigger predicament that is the prevalence of the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. It is imperative for the premiership held by Tan Sri Muhyiddin to eliminate racial and political conflict, but to unite in combating the spread of COVID-19. This pandemic has tuned the world in unfavorable condition, of course. Amid the COVID-19 issues, Tan Sri Muhyiddin's efforts to deal with foreign policy should be praised. He expressed disagreement with China on the issue of South Sea dispute and revoked several contracts for 5G service from Chinese cooperation. This rejection prompted the political analysts to conclude that Malaysian government under the leadership of Tan Sri Muhyiddin had ended the era of pro-China policies. On a brighter note, foreign policy machinery throughout Tan Sri Muhyiddin's tenure as at today still centered on bilateral relations, cooperation with US, and he remarked as bringing back the pro-Western approach, referring to the official phone call from the US president at that time, Donald Trump, and no more longer. Both leaders expressed consensus on the importance of cooperation among international community to ease the impact of the pandemic, the well-being of people, and the global economy. Okay.
Then, Mr.
In conclusion,
Okay.
Despite all efforts taken by political scientists to elucidate the definition of foreign policy, there is still a lot of work to do towards a mutually exclusive understanding of fundamentals of foreign policy. Indeed, a number of challenges have continued to strike Malaysian government in formulating and responding to the international arena issues. Definition of foreign policy constantly focus on international relationships among countries and the pivotal role of government in executing foreign policy. However, attention should be drawn up the importance of conceptual elements such as the function of foreign policy actors based on their roles or position in the office along with their personal character. All in one, the implication of non-governmental aspect and political culture through society and system are equally important to formulate an effective foreign policy. It is advisable for the government to adapt and respond attentively to the changes surrounding the nation by practicing fair diplomacy in current independent globalized world. Okay. Hopefully, this sharing information give some overview about foreign policy in Malaysia and how our leader shape foreign policy since independence until present. I think I give back the baton to the MC. Thank you. Uh, thank you, and I rest my case.
Thank you so much, Puan Farida. You manage time is so well. This is interesting issues. Yeah, I think from Professor Sebastian and you have relation. Both of you talk about policy that have been implemented in your country and related to the uh, relation to the others countries, especially neighborhood countries. Thank you, Mrs. Farida Jafar. Now we move to the last speaker for this session. But please allow me to remind you that if we have time, we will give all the participants to deliver their question. Um, Hopefully, we have time maybe 15 until 20 minutes for asking and answering question. Uh, because from the chat, we see there are some participant who has already raised the hand. Uh, I invite the last speaker, invited speaker from University of Islam Sumatera Utara. He is an associate professor. His major is in a public administration. He is also a rector, and his major still related to Prof. Sebastian and Puan Farida. Dr. Haji Yanhar, I invite you to deliver your presentation. Time is yours. Silahkan, Pak. Ya, oke. Tolong di-unmute.
Sudah? Oke. Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and best wishes to all of us. My respect to Professor Dr. Dwi Aristina Pulubuhu, Rector of Hasanuddin University, Makassar, Indonesia. Appreciated to the committee, organizing committee, and Hasanuddin University leaders who have managed this year's ICMR. Therefore, it is appropriate for us from UISU to express our high appreciation and at the same time by respect. Next, I give this UISU placard to director. So please accept it. Accept it to rector, to professor. Kenapa? Okay. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, and participant of ICMR 2020, let me present an article entitled strengthening policies of development program, case of education and health development in North Sumatra, Indonesia. Before. Sebelumnya. Oke. So my present this article with in bahasa Indonesia. Next. Oke. Saya mengawali pendahuluan ini dengan sedikit mengurai pembangunan Sumatera Utara 2018 hingga 2023. Ya. Pembangunan Sumatera Utara pada era 2018-2023 mempunyai visi Sumatera Utara yang maju, aman, dan bermartabat. Dengan visi ini, Sumatera Utara punya slogan atau punya sebutan, yaitu Sumatera Utara bermartabat. Masa ini tentunya dipimpin oleh Gubernur Bapak Haji Edi Rahmayadi, alumni daripada Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara. Pembangunan Sumatera Utara pada era 2018 hingga 2023 ini punya 5 misi. Dan 5 misi ini adalah terjemahan dari visi Sumatera Utara bermartabat. Apa misi pembangunan di Sumatera Utara? Misinya adalah mewujudkan masyarakat Sumatera Utara bermartabat dalam kehidupan. Yang kedua, bermartabat dalam politik. Yang ketiga, bermartabat dalam pendidikan. Yang keempat, bermartabat dalam pergaulan. Dan yang kelima, bermartabat dalam lingkungan. Ini 5 misi yang menjadi tujuan atau capaian dalam rangka untuk mewujudkan visi Sumatera Utara bermartabat. Oleh pemerintah Sumatera Utara, maka visi dan misi ini diderivasi ke dalam 5 prioritas pembangunan. Maka ada 5 prioritas pembangunan di Sumatera Utara. Next. Yang pertama adalah peningkatan kesempatan kerja dan berusaha melalui penyediaan lapangan pekerjaan. Ini adalah prioritas yang pertama. Yang kedua, peningkatan dan pemenuhan akses pendidikan. Yang ketiga, pembangunan infrastruktur yang baik dan berwawasan lingkungan. Dan yang keempat, penyediaan layanan kesehatan yang berkualitas. Dan yang kelima, peningkatan daya saing melalui sektor agraris dan pariwisata. Jika kita menyimak dari prioritas pembangunan itu, maka kata kunci yang sangat penting dalam prioritas pembangunan itu adalah pembangunan pada sektor manusia, khususnya pada bidang atau pada sektor pendidikan dan kesehatan. Karena itulah menarik dan sangat penting bagi saya mencoba untuk mempresentasikan materi pada saat yang singkat ini. Bapak Ibu sekalian dan peserta ICMR, sebagaimana yang dikemukakan atau yang dibuat oleh UNDP, bahwa untuk mengukur indeks pembangunan manusia atau Human Development Index, ya, UNDP pada tahun 1990 itu pernah mengeluarkan 3 indikator untuk mengukur keberhasilan satu daerah atau satu negara dalam upaya untuk membangun kualitas hidup manusia, masyarakat, dan juga penduduk di suatu negara. 3 indikator itu adalah yang pertama kesehatan, yang kedua pendidikan, dan yang ketiga adalah pendapatan. Indikator kesehatan itu lebih diukur kepada seberapa banyak umur panjang dan hidup sehat yang dialami oleh masyarakat dan juga penduduk. Yang kedua menyangkut pendidikan, ini tentunya adalah tingkat pengetahuan dasar hingga ke pendidikan tinggi yang mampu diikuti oleh penduduk dan juga oleh masyarakat. Dan yang ketiga adalah pendapatan. Ini diukur secara lebih konkret ya terhadap seberapa besar ya, standar hidup yang layak bagi penduduk dan masyarakat. Khususnya di Sumatera Utara, indeks pembangunan manusia atau HDI ya, Sumatera Utara pada 2018 itu pada angka 71,18 dan pada tahun 2018 itu 71,74. Jika diperhatikan dari 2018 hingga ke 2019 sesungguhnya terjadi peningkatan. Dan angka di atas 70 ini masuk dalam kategori yang tinggi. Terlihat memang ada peningkatan sebesar 0,56 poin atau tumbuh sebesar 0,79% IPM Sumatera Utara ini jika dibandingkan pada tahun 2018. Namun secara nasional di tabel ini terlihat bahwa Provinsi Sumatera Utara itu berada pada peringkat yang ke-12. Ya, berada di bawah DKI Jakarta, Yogyakarta, Kalimantan Timur, Kepulauan Riau, Bali, Riau, Sulawesi Utara, Banten, Sumatera Barat, Jawa Barat, dan Aceh. Sumatera Utara itu pada peringkat yang ke-12. Ya. Sementara di bawahnya ada Jawa Tengah dan Sulawesi Selatan. Apa makna dari peningkatan ini? Satu contoh kita bisa melihat arti dari peningkatan angka ini, misalkan dari segi kesehatan, ya, bayi yang lahir di Sumatera Utara, misalkan pada tahun 2019, itu memiliki harapan hidup hingga usia 68,9 hingga usia 68 tahun atau lebih lama ya, dibandingkan dengan tahun sebelumnya. Angka peningkatan ini juga bermakna bahwa anak-anak ya pada tahun 2019, slide next, berusia 7 tahun yang memiliki harapan dapat menikmati pendidikan ya, selama lebih kurang 13 tahun, dan ini lebih lama 0,01 tahun dibanding tahun 2018. Begitu juga next ya, pada usia penduduk yang berusia 25 tahun ya, next. Secara rata-rata telah menempuh pendidikan ya, selama 9,45 tahun. Ini artinya lebih lama 0,11 tahun dibandingkan tahun 2018. Dan pada tahun 2019, masyarakat Sumatera Utara dari angka peningkatan ini telah memenuhi kebutuhan hidup dengan rata-rata pengeluaran per kapita sebesar 10,65 juta rupiah per tahun, dan ini artinya terjadi pengeluaran yang meningkat ya 258.000 rupiah ya, dibandingkan dengan tahun sebelumnya. Ini semua merupakan pendefinisian atau penjelasan atau makna dari meningkatnya HDI Sumatera Utara dari tahun 2018 ke 2019 dari 71,18 menjadi 71,74. Bapak Ibu sekalian, apa yang terjadi sesungguhnya di bidang pendidikan dan di bidang kesehatan itu kita menemukan persoalan atau permasalahan. Next slide. Pada sektor pendidikan, contohnya kita menemukan problem kualitas guru di pendidikan dasar hingga menengah yang rendah, kemudian distribusi guru yang tidak merata ke daerah, yang faktanya di Sumatera Utara guru lebih banyak terpusat di ibu kota daerah yang terdekat, tetapi pada daerah-daerah yang sedikit lebih kedalaman atau ke daerah-daerah pegunungan, ya ini tidak merata distribusinya. Kemudian problem yang ketiga di bidang pendidikan adalah kompetensi guru yang tidak sesuai dengan bidangnya. Artinya kebutuhan guru, satu contoh pada ilmu-ilmu pendidikan, ilmu pengetahuan alam misalkan, nah itu ternyata dipaksakan juga untuk mengajarkan atau memberi pengajaran pada ilmu-ilmu bidang sosial, sehingga guru mengajar tetapi tidak sesuai dengan kompetensinya masing-masing. Problem bidang kesehatan kita coba lihat next. Di Sumatera Utara terjadi stunting atau perlambatan pertumbuhan. Di samping itu ada gizi yang buruk, dan jaminan kesehatan yang rendah. Satu fakta kita lihat, stunting di Sumatera Utara pada tahun 2017 misalkan itu 20,2%. Ini pada tahun 2019 bertambah dan meningkat cukup jauh menjadi 32,2% pada tahun 2018. Tetapi pada tahun 2019 terjadi penurunan sedikit menjadi 30,11%.
Maaf Pak, 5 menit lagi.
Faktanya kebanyakan mereka ini berasal dari golongan masyarakat miskin. Kesimpulan yang bisa saya sampaikan, ya, next, apa penguatan-penguatan yang bisa dilakukan untuk penguatan program dan kebijakan ini, next. Penguatan untuk bidang pendidikan yang pertama adalah menyusun standar kompetensi guru yang berkualitas, terutama mampu menguasai iptek berbasis 4.0 melalui pelatihan-pelatihan. Yang kedua, evaluasi parameter mutu konten pendidikan, termasuk keterampilan teknik dan kejuruan. Yang ketiga, distribusi guru yang berkualitas. Yang keempat, next, pengelolaan pendidikan berbasis digitalisasi. Yang kelima, peningkatan kesejahteraan guru sesuai dengan kinerja. Jadi kita ingin bagaimana pemberian kesejahteraan guru itu sesungguhnya adalah berbasis kinerja, dan pemenuhan akses pelayanan pendidikan dasar dan menengah yang berkualitas yang mengarah pada hasil belajar yang efektif. Dan yang tak kalah penting dalam upaya penguatan pembangunan pendidikan ini adalah menjamin akses yang sama untuk semua tingkat pendidikan dan pelatihan kejuruan termasuk kepada penyandang cacat. Sedangkan untuk penguatan pembangunan kesehatan, next slide, perlu dilakukan program-program promotif dan juga program-program preventif dalam penyediaan layanan kesehatan yang berkualitas dan juga memperbanyak akses layanan kesehatan agar masyarakat mudah dan cepat untuk mendapatkan layanan kesehatan. Ini yang dapat saya sampaikan dan dapat saya simpulkan dalam kesempatan ini. Semoga presentasi singkat ini dapat bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Sekian. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Mr. Yanhal. This is nice presentation ya, tentang how the administration in North Sumatra try to increase the IPM. Okay, we move to the next item, asking and answering question. I invite some participants who maybe there is a question that you have wanna ask to the 3 presenters today. I invite Budianto for the first time. Pak Budianto, you have already raised your hand. Silahkan Pak Budianto kalau mau bertanya. Halo Pak Budianto, masih ada? Are you with us? Thanks to the speakers who have already present your presentation. There is a question from someone, I don't know his name. Nanti kalau ada yang bertanya silahkan disebutkan namanya dan dari mana, silahkan. Ini there is a question in chat. Pertanyaannya, bagaimana progres yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah Provinsi Sumatera Utara dalam meningkatkan kualitas guru dan pemerataan guru, serta berapa besar tingkat keberhasilannya dalam rangka mewujudkan sumut bermartabat. This is for Pak Yanhar, ya. Ada yang ingin bertanya kepada Ibu Farida Jafar, ya. Saya persilahkan Usuluddin. Usuluddin, mau deliver langsung atau di chat aja ya?
Di chat aja Bu.
Oh, di chat aja. Oke, silahkan dituliskan. Pertanyaan yang kedua dari Ahmad Zulfikar, from Ahmad Zulfikar. Please, Ahmad Zulfikar, silahkan. Mau langsung atau mau di chat juga? Ya, mungkin lebih efektif kalau lewat chat ya. Karena nanti bisa dibaca, the presenter can read and prepare to the answer it. Mungkin pertanyaan pertama sambil while we are waiting for the next questions, I invite Pak Dr. Yanhar to answer the first question.
Ya, terima kasih. Tadi ada pertanyaan ya yang sempat saya catat adalah menyangkut tentang progres sumut dan progres sumut kualitas guru. Dalam hasil observasi beberapa penelusuran data dan telaah kita di lapangan, terlihat memang distribusi penyebaran kualitas guru itu hanya kuat pada 5 kabupaten kota yang ada di Sumatera Utara saja. Yang pertama Kota Medan, Deli Serdang, Serdang Bedagai, Binjai, dan Asahan sebahagian. Sementara pada daerah-daerah kabupaten kota lainnya selain 5 kabupaten kota ini tadi, terlihat kualitas guru masih di bawah rata-rata. Karenanya sangat penting bagi pemerintah Provinsi Sumatera Utara untuk melakukan evaluasi agar tidak terjadi penumpukan ketersediaan kompetensi guru yang baik atau yang berkualitas baik hanya pada 5 kabupaten kota ini saja. Tapi kita menginginkan dan kita memberikan rekomendasi setidak-tidaknya distribusi kualitas yang tidak merata ini yang harus dilakukan ke daerah-daerah pinggiran atau di pedalaman. Misalkan ke Tapanuli Selatan, Mandailing Natal, Kabupaten Dairi, Pakpak, yang keberadaan mereka, posisi daerah-daerah ini adalah berada di luaran Provinsi Sumatera Utara. Karena itu, kalau kita lihat progres hari ini jelas memang sangat kurang baik ya pendistribusian itu, sehingga patut nanti Universitas Islam Sumatera Utara akan memberikan rekomendasi ini ya kepada pemerintah Provinsi Sumatera Utara, khususnya kepada Dinas Pendidikan Sumatera Utara agar melakukan pemetaan distribusi para guru sehingga penyebarannya hingga sampai ke daerah-daerah pinggiran yang ada di Sumatera Utara. Sumatera Utara ini sangat luas dan saat ini sekarang terdapat lebih kurang 34 kabupaten kota. Dan ini jelas tidak seimbang porsi sebaran guru-guru, sehingga sangat penting bagi pemerintah Sumatera Utara untuk melakukan evaluasi pemetaan distribusi kualitas guru. Saya kira itu. Terima kasih.
Thank you for Mr. Yanhar who has already answered the question. The next question is from Usuluddin, who asked about this is delivered to Puan Farida. Yeah, how relate to political communication between Islamic and Chinese society, maybe community in their following good situation on Malaysia. Okay. Silakan. Panitia tolong di-unmute dulu. Panitia tolong di-unmute suaranya Ibu Farida. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Because I have a problem with Zoom connection in my PC, so that right now I do my Zoom meeting with my handphone. So hopefully everybody can hear me clearly. Okay. Hello.
Bagus, silahkan.
Okay. Because I have a problem with my PC. Not connected with Zoom, but right now I'm live from my HP. Okay. Regarding the question about Chinese, can you please repeat the question, because tadi I lost
Chinese and Muslim community in Malaysia.
Okay. Chinese and Muslim community in Malaysia. Yeah. Actually, it seems that still under control. As usual, in many countries, of course, we have ethnic relation. Sesuatu yang okey lah. Saya pun rindu juga mau bicara Indonesia ya. Bisa ya saya bicara Indonesia?
Boleh lah, boleh.
Okey, tadi ditanya tentang, sebab tadi saya terputus connection dengan Zoom di PC. Right now saya menggunakan handphone. But saya harap semuanya clear untuk mendengar. Okey, ditanya tadi tentang hubungan Chinese, etnik Chinese dan Muslim. Saya kira itu ya soalannya.
Betul.
Ya, okey.
Untuk
menjawab ini, kalau di Malaysia itu, saya kira biar di mana-mana negara, kita akan ada konflik antara etnik. Tetapi as long as dianya tidak memberi satu riot atau kekecohan atau sesuatu yang boleh mengundang situasi yang tidak enak di negara tersebut. Jadi kita boleh istilahkan hubungan antara etnik Cina dan Melayu itu, Muslim itu
sangkut.
Okey.
Enggak, sangkut aja. Dek, Pak dulu tolong.
Tolong di-unmute yang lain. Silakan lanjutkan.
Okey. Menyangkut pertanyaan tadi tentang ethnic relationship between ethnic China dan Muslim, saya kira kalau di Malaysia itu tidaklah memberi suatu kondisi yang tidak terkontrol. Masih terkontrol, dan kalau ada cekcok, itu kita bilang cekcok ya. Kalau ada cekcok itu sebenarnya biasa-biasa aja. Di Malaysia itu antara bukan cuma etnik Melayu dan Cina, etnik Melayu dan India juga, kerana memang ada aspirasi yang kadang-kadang tidak nyambung. Tetapi oleh kerana dasar pemerintah itu cuba untuk menyatukan antara etnik, saya kira di Malaysia itu isu tentang etnik bukan merupakan isu besar, saya kira. Dan dalam kondisi pandemik COVID-19 itu, it seems that semua etnik di Malaysia ini bersatu untuk menghadapi situasi yang sangat getir ini. Jadi saya kira itu mungkin jawapan dari saya.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Puan Farida yang telah menjawab pertanyaan tentang bagaimana komunikasi politik antar etnis yang ada di Malaysia. Dan pertanyaan terakhir datang dari peserta Ahmad Zulfikar who wanna ask about I think COVID in Singapore, how to handle it. Silahkan Ahmad Zulfikar, bisa segera silahkan Ahmad Zulfikar. There is in chat, yeah. As we know, the pandemic of COVID-19 affect all the countries in the world. Then you share your views on Singapore handle the job protection to their national citizen. Have you researched the impact with the Southeast Asian citizen and the future of Asian economic community? This is a question for Pak Sebastian, Prof. Sebastian. Silahkan, Pak. Di unmute dulu. Ya, oke, silahkan.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak Ahmad for your question. I appreciate it. At the moment now, it is a problematic situation within the ASEAN context, primarily because we do observe that every country has its own response. I think one real problem that we all have to address is whether there can be an ASEAN-wide response as well. This is quite challenging at this moment, primarily because of the nature of the challenges in each of the countries. Each country has its own difficulties in terms of addressing these, addressing the COVID-19 problem. My sense is it will take some time before we all find a common position in terms of how we can strategize in terms of developing travel bubbles on the one hand, and assessing whether it is possible for us to open up channels of communication in terms of safe travel. For the time being, in the context of Singapore, we are trying to work with countries that have been able to bring the virus down, who have been able to somewhat bring the virus under control. And what we want to do is, over time, open up those linkages. Of course, for us, fundamental is the interconnectedness between all our economies. For many, there are so many Malaysians that work in Singapore and need to travel back and forth. So I've seen situations of people who have not seen their families for more than 6 to 8 months already. So the situation is quite dire, and all we can hope is that we can perhaps develop an ASEAN mechanism where we can all pool together our resources in a way that can enable us to fight the COVID-19 pandemic together. For the time being, I think what is most important is for us to ensure that the vaccine rollout for every country is done speedily and is done with efficiency. I think the quicker we can develop some aspect of immunity, this would go a long way in terms of normalizing the environment. So for the moment now, let's see what the vaccine rollout will be. But over and above that, let us also aim to protect the most vulnerable people in our society in terms of providing them with support and help to uh, get through this challenging period. And over and above that, a significant amount of help for our businesses, in terms of support to keep them functioning so that people can have employment. And hopefully what will happen in time is there will be both a local response as well as a regional response. Thank you.
Thank you, terima kasih Pak Leonard Sebastian yang telah menjawab, who has already answered the question from Ahmad Zulfikar. Since we have limited time, thank you for all participants who has already participate in this session. After this session, you invite to enter the next room. So for the three speakers, thank you very much for your presentation. This is a nice day, and please give applause to the three speakers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hopefully we can meet in another session. For the conclusion, three speakers have already represent the issue on how policies have made by government in context of Indonesia, especially in North Sumatra, Malaysia, during the administration from several prime ministers, and so the dynamic politic that influenced by the actor and the paradigm that use or the character of the actor. And from Singapore, we see that the government has already implemented policies on measurement that coping unity, resilience, solidarity, and fortitude budget, especially for Muslim community. They contribute to overcome the problem related to pandemic of COVID-19. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think all of your presentation have beneficial and important information for us, especially for participants that from multidisciplinary. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Terima kasih banyak kepada semuanya, khususnya Pak Sebastian, Pak Yanhar, dan Puan Farida. Walaupun kita jauh, we have a distance, but we meet in this Zoom. This is a nice meeting, I think. Sangat mencerahkan, enlighten our mind to see the problems in our society. Thank you so much. Kepada para peserta, silahkan memasuki room dan saya serahkan kepada host. Terima kasih Pak Sebastian, Pak Yanhar, Puan Walida. Semoga bertemu lagi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for our moderator, keynote and invited speakers. We extend our utmost gratitude for Mrs. Nufidara, Mr. Professor Leonard Sebastian, Mr. Dr. Yanhar, and Mrs. Farida Jafar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderfully insightful session for all of us. I have two important announcements before we move on to the next agenda. Firstly, all participants shall now fill in the attendance form which the committee has sent in the chat box. And secondly, all participants are cordially invited to attend the main session for day 2 tomorrow morning, in which we will hear speeches delivered by 3 of our invited speakers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will proceed to our next agenda, the parallel session. Committees have prepared virtual rooms in the breakout room feature. You might find it on the bottom right corner of your screen. All presenters may join their respective breakout room according to the virtual room which has been assigned by the committee, and all non-presenter participants are also welcomed to choose and join the breakout room. The room list and schedule for day one presentations will be displayed in the main room. And once again, we would like to extend our utmost gratitude to everyone who has joined us in the opening ceremony and speaker session of ICMR of 2021. On behalf of the committee, we wish the best of luck for all presenters. May the odds be ever in your favor, and we wish to see you all again in the next morning's main session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Terima kasih banyak, Pak. Terima kasih banyak, Bu.
That's good.
Kami juga ingin menyampaikan bahwa apabila ada Bapak Ibu yang mengalami kendala untuk memasuki breakout room, untuk mengingatkan kami para panitia melalui chat box. Kami akan membantu proses assignment-nya menuju virtual breakout room-nya. Terima kasih. Bagi Bapak Ibu yang mengalami kendala, berikut adalah petunjuk untuk memasuki breakout room. Pada bottom right corner of your screen atau di sebelah kanan bawah ada feature yang bernama breakout room. Bapak Ibu silahkan mengklik feature tersebut dan kemudian memilih apakah ingin memasuki virtual room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bagi para presenter, agar kiranya memasuki virtual room sesuai dengan jadwal yang telah panitia kirimkan. Untuk bagi para non-presenter participants, dipersilahkan untuk memasuki virtual room mana saja dan dapat mengikuti proses presentasi dengan tenang, mengikuti instruksi yang akan disampaikan oleh moderator pada masing-masing virtual room. Terima kasih.
Kenapa? Kemudian itu mancing ya buat pertanyaan.
Bapak Ibu yang terhormat, sekali lagi kami sampaikan bahwa feature breakout room akan berada pada sisi bawah kanan pada komputer Anda. Jadi apabila Anda membuka aplikasi Zoom akan ada pilihan di sebelah kanan share screen yaitu feature breakout room. Silahkan Bapak Ibu mengklik feature tersebut lalu memilih virtual room mana yang akan Bapak Ibu masuki. Kali ini ada 5 virtual room sesuai dengan jadwal yang telah panitia kirimkan sebelumnya. Sementara ini kami dari panitia juga sedang membantu proses mobilisasi menuju breakout room-nya, namun kami melihat masih ada setidaknya 90 peserta yang belum memasuki virtual room-nya, maka dari itu apabila Bapak Ibu tidak memiliki kendala, silakan memasuki breakout room-nya masing-masing segera. Terima kasih. Apabila Bapak Ibu tidak menemukan menu breakout room pada Zoom-nya, mohon dipastikan bahwa Zoom-nya telah terupdate dalam versi yang terbaru, atau untuk memudahkan bisa memakai feature Zoom yang memang ada di komputer instead of dari ketimbang di HP masing-masing. Kami juga memohon untuk para partisipan agar merename terlebih dahulu namanya sesuai dengan kodenya masing-masing agar dapat memudahkan proses panitia membantu mobilisasi menuju breakout room masing-masing. Terima kasih. Bagi Bapak Ibu yang memiliki jadwal parallel session untuk besok, diperbolehkan untuk memasuki virtual room-nya sekarang untuk sebagai partisipan, sebagai penonton. Namun, sekali lagi kami ingatkan untuk tetap mengikuti petunjuk yang akan disampaikan oleh moderator pada masing-masing virtual room-nya. Terima kasih. Bagi Bapak Ibu yang memiliki kendala untuk masuki breakout room, silakan menyampaikan melalui chat box. Namun diharapkan juga Bapak Ibu telah rename namanya masing-masing sesuai dengan virtual room yang akan Bapak Ibu masuki. Dan untuk memudahkan panitia, diharapkan juga Bapak Ibu untuk memberikan kami tanda bahwa ruangan apa yang Bapak Ibu akan atau ingin masuki pada sesi parallel session ini. Bagi sekali lagi juga kami sampaikan dan kami kunjung ingatkan untuk para presenter yang memiliki jadwal presentasi pada hari kedua agar kiranya dipersilahkan untuk memasuki breakout room pada hari ini. Namun untuk tetap mengikuti, diharapkan untuk tetap mengikuti main session dan juga parallel session pada hari kedua esok hari. Terima kasih.